Oh, hello there. I'm Bilchan.
I'm Nimakung.
I'm Banchan.
In this class, I'll read to all of you. Chapter 3, Section 1 of The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes.
Ah.
Ah.
The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes. Author Conan Doyle. Chapter 3, Section 1. In his lodgings at Baker Street. Life is infinitely stranger than anything which the mind of men could invent. We would not dare to conceive the things which are really mere commonplace of existence. If we could fly out of that window hand in hand, hover over this great city, gently remove the roofs, and peep in at the things which are going on, the strange coincidences, the plannings, the cross purposes, the wonderful chains of events, working through generations and leading to the most outer results. And yet I am not convinced of it, answered. The cases which come to light in the papers are, as a rule, bold enough and vulgar enough. We have in our police reports realism to its extreme limits. And yet the result is, it must be confessed, a certain selection and discretion must be used in producing a realistic effect, remarked Holmes. This is wanting in the police report, where more stress is laid, perhaps, upon the platitudes of the magistrate than upon the details, which to an observer contain the vital essence of the whole matter. Depend upon it. I smiled and shook my head. I can quite understand your thinking so, I said. Of course. In your position of unofficial advisor and helper to everybody who is absolutely puzzled, throughout 3 continents, you are brought in contact with all that is strange and bizarre. Practical test. Here is the first heading upon which I come. A husband's cruelty to his wife. There is half a column of print, but I know without reading it that it is all perfectly familiar to me. There is, of course, the other woman, the drink, the push, the blow, the bruise, the sympathetic sister or landlady. Indeed, your example is an unfortunate one for your argument, said Holmes, taking the paper and glancing his eye down it. This is the Dundas separation case. And then, as it happens, I was engaged in clearing up some small points in connection with it. The husband was a teetotaler. There was no other woman. Up every meal by taking out his false teeth and hurling them at his wife. Which, you will allow, is not an action likely to occur to the imagination of the average storyteller. Take a pinch of snuff. Doctor. He held out his box of old gold, with a great amethyst in the centre of the lid. Could not help commenting upon it. Said he. I forgot that I had not seen you for some weeks. And the ring? I asked, glancing at a remarkable brilliant which sparkled upon his finger. It was from the reigning family of Holland. Confide even to you. And have you any on hand just now? I asked with interest. Some 10 or 12. But none which present any feature of interest. They are important. You understand. Without being interesting. Indeed. For the observation. Investigation. The larger crimes are apt to be the simpler. For the bigger the crime, the more obvious, as a rule, is the motive. In these cases, save for one rather intricate matter which has been referred to me from Marseilles, there is nothing which presents any features of interest. It is possible, however, that I may have something better before very many minutes are over. For this is one of my clients, into the dull neutral tinted London street, looking over his shoulder, for bow around your neck, coke whitish duchess of Devonshire freshen over her. From under this great panoply she peeped up in a nervous, hesitating fashion at our windows, while her body oscillated backward and forward, and her fingers fidgeted with her glove buttons. Suddenly, with a plunge, as of the swimmer who leaves the bank, she hurried across the road, and we heard the sharp clang of the bell. I have seen those symptoms before, said Holmes, throwing his cigarette into the fire. Oscillation up on the pavement always means an affair to occur. She would like advice, but is not sure that the matter is not too delicate for communication. And yet even we may discriminate. When a woman has been seriously wronged by a man, she no longer oscillates, and the usual symptom is a broken bell wire. Here we may take it that there is a love matter, but that the maiden is not so much angry as perplexed or grieved. As he spoke there was a tap at the door, and the boy unbuttons into to announce Miss Marie Sutherland. A tiny pilot boat. Sherlock Holmes welcomed her with the easy courtesy for which he was remarkable. And then, having closed the door and brought her into an armchair, "Ill. Do you not find?" he said. "I did at first," she answered, "but now I know where the letter is, or without looking." Then, suddenly realising the full purport of his words, she gave a violent start and looked up, with fear and astonishment upon her broad, good-humoured face. "You heard about me, Mr. Holmes," she cried. "Never mind," said Holmes. "Often, it is my business to know things. Perhaps I have trained myself to see what others overlook. If not, I came to you, though, because I heard of you from Isa Thurridge, easy when the police, and everyone had given him up for dead. Oh, Mr. Holmes, I wish you would do as much for me. No, not Richard. But still I have 100 a year in my own right, besides the little that I make by the machine. It's all to know it." "Has become of Mr. to consult me in such a hurry?" asked Sherlock Holmes, and his eyes to the ceiling. Face of Miss Marie Sutherland. "Yes," she said, "Mr. Windibank, that is my fellow took it all. The police, and he would not go to you, and so at last. Then it made me mad. Your father said, Holmes, your stepfather, surely is my stepfather. I call him father, funny too, oh. Yes, mother is alive and well. Wasn't best pleased, Mr. Holmes' father's death, and a man who was nearly 15 years younger than herself. Father was a plumber in the Tottenham Court Road. Business behind him, which mother carried on with Mr. Hardy, the foreman. When Mr. Windibank came, he made her sell the business. He was very superior, being a traveller in wines. For the goodwill and interest, this rambling and inconsequential narrative, but On the contrary, with the greatest concentration of attention. You're in little. Income hiest no sir. Ned in Auckland. It is a New Zealand stock paying %. £2,500 was the amount Holmes. And since you draw so large a sum as 100 a year, with what you earn, into the bargain. To be continued.